You guys, I just got back from the craziest fly fishing trip to the Catskills.
I got him! Oh my gosh! That was the biggest trout in my life, right?
I think so.
Now, if you know me, you know that I'm always trying to learn more and to improve my techniques. And I did make an observation while I was on this trip, and it's about fly fishing hooks. Who doesn't want to turn more of these moments
Woo! Oh, I lost him.
into these moments? I got to thinking while I was out there, are all hooks equal? And do certain hooks fish better than other ones? And do certain hooks have better landing percentages? This was predominantly a dry fly fishing trip. So 90% of the time I was throwing dry flies, 90% of that time I was throwing mayflies. I did throw a few golden stones, but most of the week I was throwing either March Browns or green drakes. I threw a few sulfurs, blue wing olives, Isonychias. We did have a couple spinner falls, so I threw a couple March Brown spinners and some coffin flies. Now, while I did throw a ton of patterns, I ended up getting most of my strikes on emergers. Quick entomology note. Emergers have just kind of ascended from the riverbed, and they still sometimes have their nymphal shuck attached to them, so usually their kind of back end is still below the water surface. Now, duns have completely emerged. Because they're completely above the surface of the water, they're usually tied on a straight hook, whereas emergers, since part of them is still under the water, they're usually tied on a curved hook. Now, since most of my hits for the week were on emergers, that means most of my hits were on curved hooks. Of my curved hooks, I fish mostly with these two. One was the Daiichi Special Wide Gape hook, number 1130, and the other was the Tiemco TMC 206BL. Now, this Tiemco hook is just really, really good looking. I'm really digging the black hook trend. I don't think that the fish really care. I think it's more about catching fly tires. Some patterns just look really, really good on a black hook. Now, the Daiichi hook has a hook point that is offset from the hook shank, which is kind of weird to tie on because your hook shank isn't parallel with the jaws of your vise. So it just kind of threw me off while I was tying. It was easy to adjust to, but I was wondering while I was tying, I wonder if this is going to make any difference. And knowing what I know now, I think that it did. I'm a little bit of a super nerd, and I kept a tally of all the fish I hooked, landed, and lost for the trip, and what fly I got them on. So that's how I was able to figure out that I had most of my hits on emergers. Now, I would love to talk about strike percentages, but the critics are gonna call me out and say, hey, you probably didn't fish every pattern over the same number of fish with the same kind of fish appetite, and they're right. So I didn't do that. I fished the patterns that were working more than the ones that I was having low confidence in, so it's not totally fair. And I have no way of measuring the number of trout that saw my fly and didn't strike at it. So until I figure out a way to do that, I can't talk about strike percentages, but I can talk about landing percentages. When I look at the fish that I successfully landed compared to all the fish that I hooked, I had an 88% landing rate with the Daiichi Wide Gape hook and a 71% landing rate with the Tiemco TMC. So to add a little context here, earlier this year I was fishing almost all of my emerger patterns on the Clink Hammer hook, that's also by Daiichi. but I was having a significantly lower landing rate. And I don't have all the exact numbers, but I would guess that my landing rate with the Klinkhammer hook was around 50%, maybe up to 60% landing rate, which is much lower than what I was getting on the Daiichi Special Wide Gape hook and the Tiemco 206BL. I'm pretty impressed with that Daiichi hook, and since the big difference is the offset hook point from the shank, I really do think that it helped to keep the trout on just a little bit better than the Tiemco. But the Tiemco comes in that trendy color. So for me, I am going to tie more flies on both of these hooks because I do love the trendy color, but I also love the landing fish. So I'm going to keep tying on both, but I can tell you this. If I do hook onto like a 24-inch trout on that Tiemco hook and I end up shaking it off and not landing it, I'm probably going to throw every single one of those hooks away and tie everything on the Daiichi from there out. If I can maintain almost a 90% landing rate, that's definitely good enough for me. Let me know if you guys have had a similar experience with these hooks in the comments below, and if you thought this was helpful, please leave a like. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck out there.